Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Deserts of Plenty, the podcast about optimizing our mental, physical, and spiritual health, mind, body, and soul. It's also having to do a lot with human communication, transaction, and interaction, as well as making our way through this crazy world and finding tools to help us find happiness and success and contentment when all around us seems absolute chaos. Again, my name is Ralph McLeod. I'm really an improv teacher by trade now, but I have a background in science and medical research, both analytical and creative. And I've had a lot of time to observe human beings. And, my experience is all really practical. Like, I don't have a background in psychology, but when I talk to psychologists, it's like, oh, I know what that, when I talk to psychologists, basically I describe what I see and they're like, oh, you know what that is? That's this thing. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And so I do have a friend who is a psychologist. And when I speak to her, she's analytical or sorry, an academic and I'm practical. And we've come to the same place and the same conclusions and understandings about people. And that's pretty cool. So today I want to talk about an experience I had and that led me to an understanding of a certain personality type. And it's a personality type to which I belong. And I call it the empath. It's also, I've heard it referred to as the savior or the mentor personality group. And so I'll just start off by asking you a few questions and let me know if this, and well, not let me know. You can let me know certainly in the comments because I'm really curious if this sounds like you, and then I'll talk about my experience and yeah, and then just some things about this whole personality type. So does this sound like you? A, you are very good in the crisis. When stuff gets real, everybody looks at you as like, okay, you figure it out and you take charge. So good in a crisis. Are you the black sheep of your family? The person that moves to the beat of your own drum and is somehow different. Your love language is gifts of time and experiences. Excuse me. You're not so much about stuff. You may have had a rocky or distant relationship with your father. Pardon me. I'm sorry. I'm recovering from a cold and it's bonkers. Does bringing joy to other people bring you the most pleasure? When someone can look at you and like, thank you very much. You like feel pretty good about that. You are a people pleaser and you struggle with conflict and saying no. Have a hard time saying no to people. You'd rather eat a lot of crap than have someone be upset with you. You are agnostic, borderline atheist. Politically, you're on the left of center, but you don't truck with extremes. Like you're not far left or a leftist. You're much more a pluralist. You think there's room for everybody in the planet. You don't function so well within an institution. You're much better working for yourself or in a small group. You have a creative outlet. In terms of career, you lean towards healthcare, education, childcare. You, as a child, brought home wounded animals. Does this all sound like you? Oh, and finally, you have a narcissist story. Does that sound like you? And if not, that's totally cool because there are certainly people out there who are like this. A lot of people have some of these things, but when I meet fellow empaths who are like me, they're like, stop reading my mind. How do you know this stuff? And this happened to me. It was just pre-pandemic. And I was just, I was sort of hanging out with someone and I just got this overwhelming feeling that I knew exactly what she was feeling. And it just like it was just like I am an empath, so I tend to know moods and stuff, but I felt like I could read this person's mind. And then I just started asking questions, like these questions. And she was like, get out of my head, you know too much. And then whenever I get around people that I could feel like, oh, I really feel this close kinship to you in like a much more like family, paternal or maternal or, sibling. Like I really felt a kinship to people. It was like I'd ask them these questions, and invariably they'd be like, "This sounds like me." And I came to sort of a conclusion, and it could be total BS, but that this conclusion was that we're basically the same person, except we're born at different times or in different places, or we're different genders or whatever. But take away all that window dressing, and at our core, we're the same person, right down to things like as a children, you felt like you belonged at a different time and place. I just found that really, it still blows my mind because I still meet people like this. And every time I do, I meet an empath and I talk about, do you struggle with boundaries? And I see people like their eyes get big and like, oh, there you are. Doormat, right? How do you know this stuff? Narcissist story. Shut up. Get out of my head. We'll talk about narcissists soon. But I just found that it just blew my mind. So I do want to talk a bit about empathy. I want to talk about boundaries, because even if you're not an empath, boundaries are something that you may struggle with, and saying no to things that you don't want to do, and a bit about, putting yourself first. These are things that are really important, especially for empaths, but I think for all of us. So I just want to first mention about the three kinds of empathy, and this might define you or describe you, not define, describe you, or it may not, but there's three kinds of empathy. The first kind of empathy is understanding a person's journey who's different than you. Like I've never given birth to a child. I've been present for the birth of 3 children. And I know I will never understand that experience of like the pain and the joy and all that of actually giving live birth to another human being. But I can appreciate it and understand, well, that's got to be, first of all, extremely painful and difficult, but also wonderful. The second kind of empathy is how people are feeling. Like I'm that person who will walk into a room and go, something just happened in here. There was a fight or people were making out or something, but something's going on. And I'm that person. I can get a general sense of what people are feeling. And the third kind of empathy is when you make everybody else's problem your problem. So the classic example of this is you're walking down the road and there's a person, you come across a big hole in the ground and there's a person down at the bottom of the hole. So the first kind of empathy is like, oh, you're in a hole. I understand what that would be like. I'm not in a hole, but I can understand like that might be terrifying or confusing, but I understand, even though I don't experience that, what that would be like. The second kind is understanding, looking at that person, understanding, oh, they're terrified or confused, and just knowing kind of at a glance what that person is experiencing. And the third kind of empathy is you jump down into the hole and make their problem now our problem. And that's where empaths get into a lot of trouble. We make other people's problems our problems. Boundaries, right? We don't establish healthy boundaries. So the first thing about boundaries that you have to understand, fellow empaths, is that establishing boundaries doesn't make you a dick. It doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a person that has self-respect. And the way I like to think about it is that the more you take care of yourself, you're in a better position to take care of the people around you that you truly care about. If I'm in a bad place, it makes me much more unlikely to be able to take care of the people around me that I love. Best, I guess, characterized by on the briefing at the beginning of every flight, airplane travel is like, put your own oxygen mask on first. If I'm not in a good position, I can't help other people. And also it's respect. Like I know as an empath who used to hate conflict and would run from it and would do anything to just have people like me. People don't come to respect that behavior. They come to expect it, and they'll use it. And then the minute you stand up and say like, oh, come on, what about me? They're like, whoa, you're crazy. And I have a story that will outline this in just a moment. So boundaries, not about being a bad person. It's not about being, a jerk. It's about putting yourself first and being in a position to take care of the people that matter to you. The other thing about saying no is every time you say no to something you don't want to do, you get to say yes to something you do want to do. right? And again, no is about respect. It's about knowing here and no more. And if you let people walk all over you, they will continue to walk all over you. I had a close friend who's an empath, and she struggles mightily with this stuff. And we sometimes have that feeling like, oh, if I do good, good will come back to me. And the trouble is, often it doesn't. There's no like cosmic scorekeeper for karma. The more you do and give to other people, the more they'll take and take and take. Not everybody, but a large majority of them. And once again, I'll give you an example in a second here. So boundaries, establishing healthy boundaries, it's not about being a jerk. It's about what's right for you. Saying no allows you to say yes to things that you love, and it builds respect. One of the things that's hard about dating an empath is it's hard to respect them. And without respect, it's hard to build love. You can have a kind of paternal or maternal or familial kind of love, but to have a romantic love with someone you don't respect is very tough. And so empaths take note. So imagine this scenario. Okay. You walk to work every day and or walk wherever, same place every day. And you walk by this corner. And one day you're walking by and there's a person there. And this person held $20 they're giving you. And you're like, what? And they're like, no, take it. What's going on? There's no gimmick. I don't expect anything. Here's $20. So you go, okay, you take the $20, count your lucky stars and move on. The next day you come back, he's there again with another $20. What's going on? He's like, nothing, absolutely nothing. Here's $20. It's yours. Take it. No strings attached. It's fine. Okay. Every day, day after day, that person's there giving you $20. One day, after a few weeks of this, you're on your way to work. Nuts. I don't have any money for lunch. Wait a minute. My guy, he'll be there with my $20. You walk by, $20. Thank you very much. There's your lunch, right? This goes on. One day you're walking there. He's not there. Where's my guy? Where is he? What happened to him? You come back the next day. He's there. He's looking sheepish. And you're like, what's going on? Where were you? And he's like, well, that money I gave you, I want it back and interest. And you're like, you're crazy. You're absolutely nuts. I'm not giving you your money back. You said no strings attached. You're crazy. And that's exactly the way it is with empaths. We give and we give and we give because we want people to like us, because we think good will come back to us, because that's what we've been taught. And for a lot of us, that's not what happens. We don't get good back. And so there's a type of narcissists, these victim narcissists that are kind of like, the way, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, and I'm starting to nerd out here in a second, but, in Lord of the Rings, the orcs, which are these evil creatures, are the beautiful elves that have been corrupted. And that's kind of like these victim narcissists are empaths. They're empaths that have been corrupted. They've learned the hard way. They've learned the wrong lesson. They've learned that to get ahead, you got to be cruel and you got to take from people. And that's not true. That's a very bleak way to look at the world. But I know people like that have, they've given and they've given and they've given and they've got nothing but crap. And they go, okay, what I've learned about the world is wrong. The only way to get ahead is to take and be mean. And that's not true. The way to get ahead is to establish healthy boundaries, figure out what's right for you, and do what's right for you. Here's another example. Do you ever that thing when you're going into a mall or a building and there's someone coming behind you, you don't know them, and they're kind of in that weird in-between place. Like any closer, you'd hold the door for them, no problem. If they were a little further back, you'd forget it, let it go. But they're in that intermediate place, and immediately we hate them. Like, oh, how could you put me in this position? That's nuts. But then you hold the door for them, and what we expect is they speed up. They give us a nod or a wave, as a way to say thank you. And if they don't, we want to murder them. Same thing. You let a car in traffic, they don't give you the wave. You want to murder them. So if you do good things for people, and you do it because you want you do it so that you get the little thing back, the little wave or acknowledgement, the thing that fills your cup, that's a dead end. That's going to backfire, because when you don't get them, you feel jilted. It's like, I've trusted you with a bit of my soul, and now you've crapped on it, and I hate you. So do these things for yourself. Do them because they are the right thing for you to do, and you do them because you enjoy them, not because you have an expectation of getting a return. Anyway, that's an introduction into empaths. I'd love to hear from empaths. If any of this resonates with you and you're like, oh my God, that's me, Ralph. How do you, that's crazy. Or like, I'm some like that, but not entirely. Well, there's many different kinds of personalities. There's probably 12. I don't know. Uh, and every once in a while I wake up, I'm like, oh my God, if I was making a matrix and I had to have, personality types, you don't need an infinite number of personality types. You just need a handful, like maybe 12, to design all these different brains. I don't know. I find we may be living in a matrix, in some kind of computer simulation as, as possible as any other explanation, that it's all there's some kind of supreme being up there that created everything, or that it's the universe just started somehow. But of course, explanations that we're all living in a matrix just bring up more questions. Well, where do those people come from, and then those people, and on and on and on. I can think about this forever. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in to Deserts of Plenty. Please send me notes and questions and tell me I'm full of crap. I love that stuff too. I mean, I'm always up to challenge what I know and learn new things. I am not my thoughts, which anyway, something we'll talk about at some point. Anyway, thanks very much. Have a great rest of your week. My name has been Ralph McLeod. You can meet me at ralph@socap.ca. Have the best time. Bye.